So, my opening segment, I talked about Antonio Brown, how I thought that he just wanted to redirect the media cycle and get people to just talk about his helmet instead of talking about his frostbitten feet. Then I talked a bit briefly about the three-headed monster the Dallas Cowboys have to pay and who maybe they should pay first. Then I had Aiden Becker on over the phone. We talked all about the Raiders and Giants. And now, for the next hour and 5 minutes, because I already did my first 2 commercial breaks, so we're good to go, uninterrupted. I have a guest in studio today, Mr. Sam Chimenti. He is a member of the Pike fraternity, and he also is probably going to be a sports broadcaster for KSSU coming up.
Let's hope so, man. That's the goal. And thanks for having me on, Sean. I'm excited. It's a whole Raiders segment, you said. So
Pretty
you brought
much.
the right guy in. You already called your buddy, and he gave some bold predictions.
He sure did.
I'm
12,
not gonna go
12
that-
and 4.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
We'll get into that, but I'm not that confident. I'm a Raider fan. We are really confident every year, but you got to reel it back.
Yeah, I think because of just having Antonio Brown and having Derek Carr under John Gruden for one more year, I understand the excitement, but let's pump the brakes a little bit, especially because they probably are playing in one of the best divisions in football.
And it's also, I think it comes every year for a team that's on Hard Knocks, and you see the behind the scenes, and you see the way the players are operating, the coaches are trying to motivate the team. You get real motivated. You get real amped. You know, I watched the episode last night. I know you did as well. John Gruden comes in, dropping F-bombs, rallying the troops. I wanted to stand up and just start clapping. But, you know, you got to think within realm there of how good they actually are. And the division is incredibly talented in the AFC West, so it's not going to be an easy task.
Yeah, and Sam Chimenti in here in the studio. This is the Sean Holko Show, Sports Talk Radio, and we're going to get all into everything today. We are going to talk a lot about the Raiders and the San Francisco Giants because those are Sam's 2 favorite teams, but we're also going to get into how things are going overall in MLB right now, how crowded that NL wildcard is right now. It's pretty ridiculous.
It is.
The AL wildcard, as you and I were talking about last week, is that the AL wildcard is really only like 3 teams pretty much right now, but the NL wildcard super crowded. NFL training camp has started up. I want to get your take, too, on what the Cowboys situation is.
Sure.
Because that's quite interesting. And if we have some time at the end, we're also going to get into Team USA and talk about the players that are actually left on the team. De'Aaron Fox is left on the team, and he might actually start. So I'm excited for that, and we're going to get more into that. But first, Sam, let's start with Hard Knocks. Antonio Brown is talking about having his feet circumcised. Weird stuff.
It's a weird way of putting it, huh?
It was, yeah, and he was like, circle, and I just didn't understand it. But Hard Knocks, the first 2 episodes have definitely not disappointed. So what are your initial impressions from the first couple episodes?
I like the culture that John Gruden is building. He's been stressing all the time, really. Anytime you hear him talk in the media that he needs to build this culture up, once a Raider, always a Raider. He needs to get them back to thinking the way they did in the 70s and 80s. As he said when he first took the job, I want to throw it back to the good old days. And he means that in a good way. I think people took that out of context and said that he was going to be really old school and they're going to be doing 2-a-days and all this stuff that he legally, for one, can't do by the NFL. But also, I just think it means that he wants everyone to be on the same page, everyone to buy in. And I love it. I love to see it. I love to see them wearing Cliff Branch jerseys. These guys that never watched Cliff Branch play, they're all too young to have ever watched Cliff Branch play.
We
they're
definitely
wearing
are.
his number. We definitely are. I met Cliff Branch too, so it was real sad to have heard that he passed away so soon because he was a phenomenal player. And I think John Gruden is slowly getting this to where it needs to be. Mike Mayock is a fantastic guy. I love Mike. I mean, if anyone doesn't like Mike Mayock, I'm a little shell-shocked because he's just such a likable person. He's got that great personality. He's a great communicator, which is such a valuable asset to have as a general manager. So I'm all for it. I'm pushing all my chips in the center kind of like your buddy did. I don't want to say 12-4, but I'm starting to buy in, and I'm starting to see this really start to take part and take off, and they just got to stay healthy, man. That's the issue. Antonio Brown's got to get on the field. Gabe Jackson has a sprained MCL. He's their best offensive lineman, I think, next to Rodney Hudson. And not having him for the first several weeks is a big, big blow. But Derek Carr could very well go back to 2016 Derek Carr in year 2 of John Gruden's system. That's the plan. That's what we're hoping for. That's what David Carr, his brother, said.
Right.
Watch Derek Carr. He's going to be the MVP. No bias there, of course. Not from brother to brother. But I'm pumped, man. And I would have been excited regardless, even if I didn't get to see John Gruden behind the scenes and how he does things. But there's a lot to like about this team, I think. And if you don't like it, then I think you're being a little ignorant.
No, yeah, and I completely agree. And it's funny, as a 49ers fan, I'm actually really intrigued by all of these topics because not only are they a great team to have on Hard Knocks, but there is just so many layers to this Raiders team and to the drama and all the different storylines that you hear. So it's great to have you on because we're going to pick away at the Raiders like a scab today. So, Antonio Brown.
Okay.
Speaking
of scabs.
Right? Oh, he probably has some on the bottom of his feet
Yeah, he's got plenty.
So anyways, I didn't even mean to do that, but hey, perfect segue. So, Sam Chimenzi here on the Sean Holko Show, diehard Raiders fan, so we're going to get great perspective here. Antonio Brown, I talked about with Aiden. I asked him, I said, you always know that there is going to be some drama with Antonio Brown. It is a given. It really is. But is the drama going to be is the production going to outweigh the drama for you?
It depends on where the drama goes. Right now, the drama is something I could care less about.
I like how you mentioned that.
Yeah, I mean, it's like we're making a big deal about things that don't matter yet. He's missed how many regular season games? None.
Zero.
Yeah.
Okay.
How many practices during the regular season has he not been a part of?
Zero. Okay.
So until we get to that point, all of this stuff is drama. It's unnecessary. I don't think it matters. I don't think it'll affect the Raiders in the end. And he will be back on the field, they think, later this week. He's not going to practice or play against Arizona, I don't think, tomorrow. They play on ESPN tomorrow. I'm excited about that. I get to watch him live. But until he misses a regular season game, it's all superficial. It all doesn't matter. And you take risks on players of great talent like that. And I was saying this to someone the other day, that we're acting like Antonio Brown is the only prima donna player in the NFL, the only receiver. Odell Beckham is so full of himself. And yet no one said a negative thing about Odell Beckham since he got traded to Cleveland, because Cleveland's on the hype train right now. Everyone's talking about Cleveland. So we can't act like Antonio Brown's the only one that likes the spotlight and likes the attention, because he's not. He's just the one that's under the microscope right now, especially when you got the Raiders on Hard Knocks.
So something that I want to follow up on that is something that I talked about in my opening segment is I think that as I talked about Antonio Brown and the Dallas Cowboys and how these guys could be considered,
about prima donnas right there.
Right? That's like the perfect mesh right there. But as I was talking about all those guys who could be considered divas, and I would put more stock in Zeke and Brown than Dak and Cooper. But as I talked about all those guys, I mentioned how I thought that the NFL was really doing something well here, because the thing for me about the NBA that makes it so interesting and what makes it a year-round sport, even in the off-season, is the drama and the pettiness and how they take advantage of social media to really get that out there. And I feel like the NFL is doing that, and they're taking better advantage of it now. So what do you think about that? Do you think that the NFL should start to highlight these guys more and have them take off their helmets and really do what Antonio Brown is doing almost?
You say give the players a little bit more of a voice?
Yeah.
Yeah. You know, they in the major leagues, they've started this new slogan that let the kids play, which
doesn't really work.
Yeah, there's still some discrepancy there, because when the kids play, then they have a problem. But they want people to be who they are. And I think you have more entertainment value, you have more people that are going to tune in when you let them be who they are. And I think the Cowboys and their situation right now, it's a mess, truthfully, because I don't see any way in which all three of them get the contracts they want. It's not going to happen.
Jerry Jones already said that in the media, too.
Yeah, and Amari Cooper wants a huge contract that I don't think he deserves. Dak Prescott wants $40 million a year, which he absolutely, positively does not deserve. And Zeke is a running back, which means his position is easily replaceable. And if I were to be in Jerry Jones' shoes, which thankfully I'm not, I would hate to be Jerry Jones, but if I was, I would personally prioritize Dak and Cooper over the rest. I'm going to have to pay them money that I don't think they deserve, because they don't. Dak Prescott does not get $40 million when you've never won a Super Bowl. Russell Wilson has $35 million a year because he's consistently led the Seahawks to the playoffs. He took them to 2 straight Super Bowls, winning one of them. He deserves that money.
Mm-hmm.
Dak Prescott does not.
No.
And nobody, I think,
Dak
will say
Prescott
that he
got
does.
exposed when Ezekiel Elliott was
Exactly.
suspended, and when Dez was gone.
And when Cooper wasn't there, before Cooper was there, he was a nobody.
Exactly.
And it's a sticky situation. I know Cowboy fans are really excited about this year, as they should be. There's a lot of talent. But I don't know how long these players are going to stay together, because this new triplets that they're saying, the new Aikman, Michael Irvin, forgetting the running back's name now.
Emmitt Smith.
Emmitt Smith, thank you. It was before my time.
No problem.
And I'm not a Cowboy fan. But
it's okay. I hate when you can picture them, you know exactly,
exactly
who you're talking about,
is,
and you just can't spit out the name. But continue.
No, they're not on par with them in any way. Amari
Really?
Cooper's not Michael Irvin. Yeah, I know. Shocking, right? Ezekiel
Really?
Elliott is not
You don't
Emmitt Smith.
say?
Those are 3 Hall of Famers that now all of a sudden we're trying to compare Dak Prescott, Amari Cooper, and Ezekiel Elliott.
Maybe it's my Ohio State bias, but I think I would actually put more stock into Ezekiel Elliott being in the conversation with Emmitt Smith than the other.
That one, absolutely. I mean, if there's anyone that can kind of get there, it's Zeke, of course.
He led the NFL in rushing his first 2 seasons.
And he's an incredible player. The problem is, I just don't think running backs deserve all this money. And it's showing because running backs, not just Zeke, but Melvin Gordon, other guys, Todd Gurley did it for a little bit, they know their value isn't there. Mm-hmm. So their only real play is to hold out and hope that it comes their way. But they don't deserve it, in my opinion. Melvin Gordon's going to probably end up getting traded because the Chargers aren't going to fall for his BS. Mm-hmm. And I think Zeke will ultimately get the first contract from Dallas because they'll get desperate, but I don't think he deserves it.
So you touched on it there that you don't really think that the running backs truly deserve what they want. Did you feel that way about 5 years ago? Because the only reason why I asked that is because I feel like there's been kind of a stigma generated over the last 3-4 years that running backs just aren't as valuable. And I also understand that there have been times where these guys actually do get paid and then it doesn't work out. And even Todd Gurley, he looked like the most deserving guy to get paid. And then he has all those knee issues last year and people are already questioning it and looking right at Ezekiel Elliott thinking that. But did you think that way 5 years ago? Because 5 years ago, the running back position was probably the most valuable in football.
I think I still thought that way 5 years ago. I think AP was at his peak at that time, so running backs were all the trend, and everyone loved it.
Yes.
But, Todd Gurley, when he got drafted, everyone was shocked because he got drafted in the top 10. Mm-hmm. Zeke Elliott, when he got drafted at 4, everyone's like, why are you doing this? This is not a valuable position. The truth of the matter is, Sean, the running back position hasn't been a very valuable position since the 70s. Since the NFL turned to a league where passing became the more priority, I mean, I could even say the 50s. I mean, football at that time was run, because that's all you could really do. The forward pass wasn't even legal for a long time. So that's going way back. But the thing is, having a running game is huge because it opens up the passing game. They always say that it opens up a play action. But you don't need someone that's getting $20 million a year to be that running back. You need someone that's consistent, that can maybe pick up a blitz in passing situations. I just don't think it's a position that needs to be overpaid. I'd overpay a quarterback, I'd overpay a receiver, I'd definitely overpay an edge rusher. Mm-hmm. I'm not going to overpay a running back.
So just to wrap up the Cowboys part of the conversation.
Yeah, it's a mess.
I think that you alluded to it earlier, but let's remind our listeners. If you are Jerry Jones and you had to pay these 3 guys, who are you paying first and why?
Unfortunately, you got to pay Dak first because he's the quarterback. Quarterback always comes first. Do I think Dak, again, deserves that money? No. But quarterback is the most important position in the NFL, in football. So you got to pay him. You got to make it work with him. And then if you want him to be successful, you got to keep his main receiving weapon there, which is Amari Cooper. And so Amari's going to get $20 million a year that he doesn't deserve, but that they're going to have to give him because if you're going to re-up Dak, you got to re-up his favorite target. And then the running back position is going to get interesting. But the great thing for them, if there's a silver lining, is you trade Zeke, you're going to get a huge return for Ezekiel Elliott.
A lot.
At his age, at his production level, you can get a lot in return. But I wouldn't pay Zeke that much money.
You made 2 really strong points there, and I want to follow up on 2 of them. And the first one is you said Amari Cooper does not deserve to get paid $20 million a year or whatever that top 5 wide receiver money is.
Yeah, that he wants.
For you, is it more so because last year was a flash in the pan that he suddenly just got traded to a team and they were like, feed him the ball because we gave up a first-round pick for him? Or is it just that he hasn't really just shown that consistency?
It's going to be biased regardless because you've already mentioned that I'm a big Raider fan.
I wanted to have that be the counter side of it, but I wanted to give you more stock.
I love Amari Cooper, and I loved him as a Raider for sure. I was so excited when we took him at number 4 because you got Derek Carr's first legitimate weapon. Yeah. The problem was he could never consistently put it together. And that's what really kills me because the great receivers that deserve the money, the Julio Joneses, the Michael Thomases, the Antonio Browns, they consistently produce regardless of circumstance. Even their quiet games, they're going to have 6 catches for 80 yards.
That's a great point, yeah.
But Amari Cooper, his quiet games are quiet. There are 2 catches for 20 yards, and you don't see him the rest of the evening. And that's what really frustrated me. That's why I was ecstatic when
I had him in fantasy, I know.
Yeah, when the Raiders traded him off for a first, I'm like, that's the best deal you could possibly get for this guy. Because you didn't want to pay him that much money. And he was so frustrating those first several games with the Raiders and John Gruden's system. He blew up against the Browns and had this huge game. But before that, he had no production against the Broncos. He had no production after that. It was a fluke. And I think that's the best way of describing his time with the Cowboys. And it was absolutely because we gave up a first. We got to give this guy the ball. He was the focal point of that offense. He was the only guy in that offense. That's not going to be the case this year. They're going to zone in on Amari and make them do something else. And I don't think it's going to work as well.
Sam Chimenti here on the Sean Holko Show. You're listening to Sac State Studio Run Radio, KSSU. Be yourself, streaming live at KSSU.com. So now let's talk about a bit of a local guy. He was highlighted a lot last night on Hard Knocks, and you and I both know him because we saw him on the opposing sideline here at Sacramento State. And that's none other than Keelan Doss. I talked about him briefly earlier in the show. He went to UC Davis. He grew up in Alameda, went to Alameda High School, and then he comes up here to the Sacramento area as almost a no-name, as he even described it last night on Hard Knocks, and then he has a great college career at UC Davis. He gets his name known. He goes to the Senior Bowl, but then he goes undrafted. And then he decides to sign with his hometown team, and he was highlighted last night on Hard Knocks. What's your first impressions of Keelan Doss?
I thought he was going to get drafted by the Raiders in like the 5th or 6th round.
Right.
I was surprised when they didn't draft him because they had him in the Senior Bowl. It was very obvious that they liked him because Gruden was talking him up at that time. But they obviously got him in the free agency process right away. And I like Keelan a lot. You know, that's the exact quote for what John Gruden's been saying. Is, I like Keelan, man. He's a good player. And he's going to make the team, I think. I think he's going to be at the bottom of the depth chart to start, but he could work his way up, especially if injuries or something were to happen. He's just, there's a lot to like about him because he can play every position. And John Gruden said that X, Y, Z. He can play all of them, and they'll move him around. He's young, and he's going to have to learn a lot. But you don't think John Gruden wants a player that's an Alameda native, the Bay Area native in their final year in Oakland? That means a lot to him because he loves the Bay Area, and he loves the Raiders and thinks they belong there.
He talked it up too when when they were having a meeting, and he was like,
oh
Doss, where are you from? Alameda." He was like, "Yeah, there's going to be all those ladies out there wearing number 89 shirts."
And I think there's so much value you can have, of course, for any player if your coach likes you. But with John Gruden, if he likes you, that's huge.
It doesn't matter. Look at Nathan Peterman.
Exactly. It doesn't matter if you're really not that good of a player. If John Gruden sees something in you and likes you, you're in. That's you're in. You got the job. So he's going to make it as like their 6th receiver. I think they're going to keep 6 receivers. Most teams don't even keep 7. Some teams don't even keep 6 anymore. But they'll keep him, and he's going to work his way up from the special teams. And I'm excited because I like him, and I think there's value in him. And there's an extra motivation factor because he's playing for a hometown team.
Sam Chimenti here on the Sean Holko Show. This is KSSU Student Run Radio here at Sacramento State University. We are here in the beautiful remodeled Union that all our tuition went to. We are sitting in this brand new studio, and you and I are sitting in these nice chairs. And our video that we have going on, you can see you can lean back in these chairs. This is where our tuition went, everybody. So enjoy it.
Yeah, no, I haven't even leaned back yet. So
right?
That's a game changer.
Got to take full advantage.
Exactly.
Anyways, so before we move on from the Oakland Raiders, and we could talk about the NFL as a whole, anything else that's going on in training camp. We have the next 47 minutes. If you want to talk about anything specific, let's bring it up. This is just a free-flowing conversation here on the Sean Holko Show. So I'm down for that because I already got all my commercials done. So I don't got to worry about any segments.
So we're just trying to fill time, huh? I like it. And I like that these people can walk by and look at us. They're very friendly today.
Right? The thing I really like about this studio and the placement is because the old studio was over at the well, and it was like to the right side of the well, so it was very obscure. People can never see us, or if they did see us, they like look in and they're like, what are they doing?
Yeah.
But here they have the speaker outside. People actually can see us, and hopefully when the school year starts up, that people will see and maybe come watch us.
Oh yeah, well there'll be a lot of people in here. I'm surprised there's this many people right now. It's August 13th. What day is it?
August 14th.
August 14th.
School starts in less than 2 weeks. Are you ready? Are you ready for that?
I don't want to talk about that. And this is what I'm talking about. We keep getting a Pike member right here just walking by.
Hey, what's up, bro? Oh, let's not do that.
Yeah, no.
All right.
That's why we don't bring those guys in. See you later, X.
We'll
catch you later.
Shout out to X.
Yes.
Anyways, so...
No, I like talking football. That's the main thing we should be talking about right now because that's the closest we got. Baseball, I know we're going to get to in a little bit, and it's exciting because...
I'm trying to push that off.
Yeah, I know. There's a lot we can do.
As an A's fan, I'm like, last night hurt. But anyways,
football season, dude. Honestly, I'm so excited because, and this is why I love the NFL more than any other sport, is it's always going to be some other team. It's always rotating. It's not like basketball where you can expect these 2 or 3 teams to be in the hunt at the very end, probably the Warriors to be in the finals. It's never like that.
Patriots are excluded.
Patriots, that's true.
That is the one outlier.
But
I agree.
29 are undefeatable. You can beat or beatable. They can be beat, and they have in this constant tyranny they've been on, this dynasty.
Chiefs almost did if it wasn't for that
D Ford wasn't offside. Would be having a whole lot of different conversations.
He better not do that for the red and gold.
But that's what I love about the NFC too. In the NFL is it's so open, man. There's so many good teams. You could say the Vikings, the Saints, the Rams. You can get so many of those teams, the Bears, the Packers. You can go on, and that's why I make football predictions almost every year. I have really no difficulty picking in the AFC because you can know the Patriots are going to be there, the Steelers probably, the Chiefs now. NFC, man, it's anybody's guess. I don't think the Rams make it back. I think last year was a fluke anyway because that worst pass interference call in NFL history.
As a 49ers fan, that's music to my ears.
Oh, yeah.
But anyways, you just talked about making predictions, and you love making predictions. So let's get a prediction about your favorite team before we talk about the NFL team as a whole. We heard earlier, and you heard earlier as you were waiting to come in the studio, that Aiden, my friend who I had over the phone, thinks that his Raiders are going to go 12-4 this year. And that would be a wild card, considering how tough the division might be this year.
Could even win the division.
Yeah, it could win the division. It could be a wild card.
Yeah,
it's a really good 12-4 is a really good record. So, Sam, what do you think is going to happen with your Raiders this year? I know you don't want to be as bold, but I want to get your full thoughts and expectations.
Yeah, in the past when I've held high hopes for the Raiders, they've crashed down. The year after their 12-4 season in 2017, I had them in the AFC Championship game against the Steelers. I was so stoked. I was feeling it, and they went 6-10. And then
I picked the Raiders to win the Super Bowl a couple of years ago. How do you think I?
That's what I'm saying.
I picked the Raiders to win the Super Bowl in Marshawn Lynch's first year.
Yeah, 2017.
That hurt.
Yeah, and 2016 when they made the playoffs, I think I had them as a playoff team, but I was like they're like a fringe playoff team, and they almost won. They should have won the division. Derek Carr didn't break his ankle.
Man, the thing that got me about that 2017 Raiders team is, as a 49ers fan, for the first time in my life, I believed in the Raiders. And I was like, the Raiders are actually going to do something this year. They're bringing in Marshawn Lynch, and what do you know? They flop and do nothing.
Yeah. Well,
I was so disappointed.
I could talk about that for a while. But.
Right? So, 2019, we're moving on, we're moving forward. As Sacramento Kings fans, you and I both know, moving on and moving forward is all we can do.
Yeah, you can only look forward.
So, what are you looking forward to this upcoming season, and what do you think their record will be?
I'm looking forward to an offense that's going to be a lot more fun to watch because, like we've said, Derek Carr's got familiarity in this system, and it's a good system. Mm-hmm. John Gruden's system is a West Coast offense, and successful teams run really good West Coast offenses, like the Chiefs, like the Rams. So I think they're going to have the 49ers. Kyle Shannon's an offensive genius.
Had to.
Yeah, and I respect it.
Yeah.
So the offense is going to be a lot of fun, especially once you get AB on the field. The defense is always the biggest question mark, but I think really, there's nowhere for them to go but up from where they were last year. They're not going to have 13 sacks again, hopefully, because that was an embarrassment. But I think the defense is still something that's a question mark, and I think it's something that's going to potentially hold them back in some games, kind of like where the Chiefs were last year, where the defense was their undoing. But I think they're a winning team. I don't think they're a playoff team. I don't think I can just say that right now, especially when you have the Chargers and the Chiefs in their division. They're going to both be better than the Raiders, unless Patrick Mahomes breaks his leg or Phillip Rivers hurts himself. Yeah, knock on wood.
I'm going to knock on wood just for the sake of the NFL.
Yeah, because Patrick Mahomes is so much fun to watch.
Right?
And I don't care that he's on the Chiefs. I love him.
Yeah.
He's phenomenal. So I think a 9-7 finish is a good place to start, especially in the division in the AFC.
I think that's honestly extremely realistic.
Yeah.
9-7 and right on the outside looking in, considering how tough their division is.
Right, and then you go into their first year in Las Vegas and open up that new stadium with real high expectations. Mm-hmm. Next year 12-4,
just like the Kings, they were right on the outside of the playoff picture, and now going into next year, Kings fans are just going to feel extremely excited, and that's what the Raiders could do.
And that's a good analogy. Is you hope for a lot, just like the Kings did last year. We didn't as fans, but Vlade Divac and the people in the building, they expected a lot,
right?
And they got a good amount from that young team. And so, while I wouldn't be shocked if they made the playoffs and they were a wild card team, I don't want to say that because I don't think it's incredibly realistic. I think they're a 9-7 team, and they're going to be exciting to watch. And then next year going into Las Vegas, there's going to be a lot of hype for the Las Vegas Raiders, which is going to take some getting used to.